This week's episode of Survivor provided us the first member of our jury for season 47. So let's rewind and find out how we got here. Okay, so there was some post-tribal stuff, but honestly not that important.
Right.
The big meat of this episode is that the Survivor auction is back once again. We've only seen this one other time in the new era.
It was a lengthy one, I felt like, too.
Very lengthy,
Yeah.
yes. So the first kind of fun thing, because, obviously the new era, they have to earn everything. Nothing's given to them, which I'm
Right.
just like, whatever. I'm kind of over that. But so the players get a little note at the beach, and then they must kind of scavenge the beach and their whole island to find varying amounts of money to then bid with.
Yeah.
And that's how the amount they get to bid with is based off of.
Right. Some of the players just didn't seem overly motivated to find those bamboo shoots.
Yeah.
And then one in particular, Andy, I'm like,
It's
how
Bahamas Express.
are you surviving, my
Yeah.
dude? Because you literally walked past about 10 of them.
Yeah.
And we're like, I can't find one. It's
Andy, he annoys me. I'll get to him more later, but like for this part of the episode, he just kind of plays like the poor me act a lot when he's like down
Yeah.
and out, and it really bothers me. I'm like, if you just put an ounce of more effort,
He plays
you
that
probably
a
get
lot,
further.
though, I feel
That's
like.
what I'm saying. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like the poor me act all the time. I'm just like, it was fine in the beginning, and now I'm like over it.
Yeah.
So then they travel to the site of where the auction will take place, and Jeff explains that the auction rules and that the player left with the most amount of money at the end will lose their vote at tribal, which is intense.
right. It always surprises me, too, when players don't instantly just, like, bid away all their money.
Yeah.
Because usually, the first one or two are probably a good
Yes.
thing anyways,
I agree. Well, it was interesting too because you and I were talking back in the office, and typically the items that they're bidding on are kind of a mix of like really good stuff like margaritas or wings,
Yeah.
which we saw, but then also a lot of times they have like kind of like gross or
Yeah,
like
fish eyes.
yeah, like I'm gonna say like joking kind of ones, but kind of like stuff you wouldn't normally
Right.
eat.
I mean, it's still edible, but
And there
like
really
nobody
wasn't
wants to.
no, and there really wasn't that much this time. Like there was like
No, it was-
13 items, and I think there was like 2 bad ones. Everything else was fine.
Yeah, the 2 bad ones were grubs to get a reward, which I didn't even
Yes,
think was
you
that
had to do like a
bad.
mini competition. No.
And then the fish eyes were the worst one.
That was disgusting.
But I was a little
Carolyn had that
disappointed.
one, and she took the biggest bite out, and I was like, girl, that's a champ right there, because couldn't be me.
Right, same. But I was a little disappointed in the lack of negative auction.
Me
items.
too. Yeah, I was like all good, and I was like,
Right.
okay. Now, something kind of crazy though that we have not seen before is that Rachel, within hers was like a burger and fries, and she notices while sitting kind of eating the fries that there's an advantage in the bowl.
I was just thinking her luck last week getting the
I know,
advantage
the
to not be
Survivor gods
voted
are on her
out.
side. I
and now
know.
she's got an idol too.
I know. Well, what's crazy too about this, is obviously like you're eating that bowl of fries on your own, but there's people on both sides of you.
Right.
So like you have to very secretly kind of maneuver that
Yeah.
advantage
Well,
out of the bowl.
The one benefit is like she waited for the right time. Everybody's starving and just locked into the food up
Yeah,
there for them
yeah,
to get. So
yeah.
I mean, it makes it easier to slide it out.
Which did work in her favor. So then we kind of see, after the auction ends and after Sam loses his vote,
Yep.
by the way. He had the most money at the end. So they go back to camp. Rachel finally kind of unfolds
Yeah,
the
she
advantage,
reads
if you
her
will.
clue.
And they find out, or she finds out that it's an immunity idol that she's to find in camp. Now, the crazy thing is, it's hidden in the corner of the tarp on top of their hut.
Sewn into it.
Sewn
too.
into it. And
Yeah.
also, this is where like everyone is all the time. hanging
Right.
out. So what a hard...
Right. Well, I'm gonna say I
Place
was
to find
very
it.
surprised that she actually ended up succeeding to get it because I feel like she was not quiet, and
Mm-hmm.
then like half the camp was there, and I'm like, how are you guys not hearing the ripping of the tarp?
I know, it looked like she was just like getting in it,
I'm
and then
like-
like everyone's just there. I'm
right.
like,
I'm like, surely the tarp is like shaking a little bit
know.
or something,
I know, it was interesting. So if the auction wasn't exciting enough, this immunity challenge was even crazier. So we get to the immunity challenge. It's then again kind of one of these balancing act challenges, but this time they have the bucket above them and they have to hold onto a string, if you will. And within the bucket is water that is 25% of their pre-game body weight that
Right.
they're essentially trying to hold up. Now, the twist with this one is one man and one woman left will win individual immunity, and then one person will obviously go home. So we see this play out, and kind of in a shocking turn of events, in my opinion, Sue wins for the girls, which
Right.
was extremely impressive. She's the oldest
Yeah.
one in the cast, the oldest girl in the cast, of course. And then it comes down to, was it Kyle and Andy?
It was Kyle
right?
and Andy, and I was
And
like,
Andy
Andy,
was
drop
really
it.
holding
Andy,
up.
drop it.
I know, but he does, and Kyle ends up winning. So they're the two that win. So you get back to camp after the immunity before tribal council,
Mm-hmm.
and it seems like Sierra, Sam, and Rachel think they're kind of running the game,
Right.
and they're trying to get Gabe out, and they're throwing all these names out. But what's crazy is in a kind of shocking turn of events on this episode, the rest of the remaining players team up against the 3 of them, and they're like,
Right.
no, let's get them out.
Well, and Andy seems to think he's like leading the charge too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, Andy's a very interesting player.
Yeah, I think he takes a lot of credit. I don't know. I will say I think you could argue this move was his, but I'm not
sort of,
sure. I mean,
you know.
it took the village to make
Right,
it happen.
exactly.
So we get to tribal council, and here's what's interesting: is that this vote is seemingly between those 3 people, but also maybe some other random names like Gabe.
Yeah.
So they vote, and then before Jeff goes,
Well, and before they vote too, Rachel uses her.
shot in the dark.
Shot
Well,
in the
after
dark.
they vote, but yes.
I mean, yeah, after they vote,
Yes,
sorry.
and so she uses her shot in the dark. Now, here's what's interesting, really quick. At first, as a viewer, I'm like, why did she just use her shot in the dark?
I wondered that
feels
too.
really stupid because she did get that immunity idol. But here's the thing. All of Twitter was like, that was actually a brilliant move. And when I saw it explained, it made a lot of sense. A lot of people were like, it was obvious that at this point, maybe one of her allies was going to go home. And so she didn't want to show her cards by having to vote one of them out. Because when you use your shot in the dark, you also lose your vote.
That makes sense.
Furthermore, she was like, a lot of people felt like she was gauging where everyone was at.
I saw the
So
gauging
it was
part,
like
yeah.
there was no votes used against her, so that was good. And then
Yeah.
also she obviously has her pulse on the right pulse on the game because she did not have to use her immunity idol. So now she knows
Yeah.
where everyone stands, and she still has an idol.
That's
So
true.
really, it was like a really smart game move that was hard to maybe see at first. So what's crazy is though Jeff reads the votes, and it's a tie between Sierra and Sam, who have kind of been like the dynamic duo
Right.
throughout the entire game. So this was very intense. Everyone revotes except for Sam because he can't vote, and Sierra is sent home. I will say, I do think this was a very strong move because I
was.
do think Sierra would have had a very compelling, I guess, journey story, whatever, at the
Yeah.
end to win.
She
So I definitely think she was a good person to get out, but I did like her. I would have
Yeah.
honestly probably preferred to see Sam go, but I think Sierra was probably
I mean,
stronger.
I'm rooting for Sam.
He was your pick.
but
Well, I know.
I
I
would
know.
say the one thing that I was annoyed by was the whole time Andy's just smirking there like he's the king of the world. He's
Yeah.
so smart. I'm like, I hope you go. Sam.
I know. I know.
I don't like him. I don't like Gabe though either,
No.
really. So
I know, and the preview for the next episode just looks crazier than ever. So really, this is one of those seasons where I have no idea what's going on. It's anyone's game. It's a very kind of confusing, crazy season, so I'm interested. So tune in tonight, CBS Survivor. Don't miss it.